Welcome back. This lesson is going to be on comparing fractions, and since we're going to be comparing fractions, we're going to be able to order them in least to greatest. This symbol right here means greater than. So if I were to use it, if I said 5 with that symbol, and another number, 2, then I can read this as 5 is greater than 2. And this means less than. So I can say 2 is less than 4. So you have to make sure that this opening is going to face the bigger number. Okay, and same with this. So we're going to use those symbols to compare fractions. We have a fraction 2/4 and another fraction 3/4. Now let's say that this is me and this is you. Okay? Let's say we both have the same number of candy pieces. So you have 4 pieces and I have 4 pieces. If I ate 2 out of the 4 pieces and you ate 3 out of the 4 pieces, who ate more? You did. So my fraction, what I ate, is less than what you ate, which is 3 out of 4. Okay, so then we know that 2 out of 4 is less than 3 out of 4. Now in the same way, 5 out of 8 was 2/5. Now these denominators are different. So then we have different number of parts. Now if I look at this, 5/8. I know that half of 8 is 4. So if I look at this, this would be greater than half, right? Because 4 out of 8 is half. So 5 out of 8 is bigger than half. Now 2/5. If you have 5 candy pieces and you ate 2 out of those 5, then you ate less than half, right? So 5/8 is greater than half, and 2/5 is less than half. So which one do you think is a bigger fraction? This is bigger than half, and this is less than half. So I know that this one right here, 5/8, is going to be greater than 2/5. So let's compare this one. 1/2 and 3/4. Now, again, these parts, the number of parts, this is 1 out of 2 parts, and this is 3 out of 4 parts. The total number of parts are different between the two fractions. So what I can do is I can either look at this as 1/2, okay, and this as 3/4, 3 parts out of the 4, that's bigger than half. I can compare it that way. Or I can make these denominators the same. Try to make them the same equal number of parts. That way we can just compare how many, the number on top. Okay? So 1/2. I can change this 2 to a 4 because a 4 is a multiple of 2. So if I change the 2 to a 4, okay, to get from 2 to 4, I multiplied by 2. I can do the same thing for the top number. So if I take the top number and I multiply it by 2, then I get 2. So if you want to demonstrate this fraction becoming this fraction, let's say I have a circle. Okay, I can either cut it in half that way, and this will become 1 out of 2 parts, or I can cut this into 4 pieces and say that I'm going to eat 1, 2 out of 4 parts. So either way I represent this, they're the same fraction. Okay? So now 1/2, I changed 1/2 to 2 over 4, and then I'm going to compare it to 3 over 4. So again, 4 pieces, I ate 2. Out of 4 pieces, let's say you ate 3. So who ate more? 2 over 4 is less than 3 over 4. Okay, so I'm going to write the symbol to show that this fraction is less than this fraction. Another example, 3 over 9 with 4 over 12. 3 over 9, okay, I can take this fraction and I can change it to look different, okay, because this fraction and this fraction, they have different number of parts. So I'm going to change them so that I can look at this in a more simpler way. So 3 over 9. 3 over 9 is the same thing. If I divide a common factor of 3 to both numbers, this is the same thing as 1 over 3. Okay? So out of 3 parts, this is 1. Now for 4 over 12, I also know that there's a common factor between the top number and the bottom number. So I'm going to take the common factor, which is 4, divide it to the top and to the bottom. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 3 9 became 1/3, and 4 over 12 also became 1/3. So these two fractions are actually the same. This is 1 over 3, 1 out of 3 parts, and this is also 1 out of 3 parts. So I'm going to write equals. These two fractions are the same. This next example, 8 over 11 and 21 over 100. Now these numbers are kind of big, okay? So what I can do is I can kind of look at these fractions and see how they compare with each other. 8 over 11. If I have 11 parts, total number of parts, and I use up 8, or let's say you have 11 pieces of candy, and you're gonna eat 8 of them. Do you eat more than half or less than half? I know about 5 1/2 is half of 11. 8 is more than half, right? 8 is more than half of 11. Now let's look at this one. 21 over 100. 21 is smaller than half of 100. Half of 100 is 50, and 21 is less than that. So this one right here is bigger than half, and this one right here is smaller than half. So if I compare them, I know even though these numbers are smaller than these numbers, this fraction is actually more than this fraction. So this 8 over 11 is going to be greater than 21 over 100. This example, we're going to compare these 4 fractions, and we're going to order them from least to greatest. Now, since we're able to compare fractions, let's see which one which fraction is the smallest and which fraction is the greatest. So let's look at these. 3/4, 1/6, 1/2, and 4/4. 3/4. If I think of this fraction, 3/4 is 3 out of 4 parts. So say you have a cake that's cut up into 4 pieces and you ate 3 out of the 4 slices. Okay, that's more than half, right? Now 1/6. If you take that same cake and you cut it up into 6 pieces, so now the pieces are smaller and you eat 1 of those, then you're eating half or less than half of your cake, right? You're eating a small piece. Now same thing for this fraction. You're going to take the same cake, you're going to cut it up into 2 pieces, okay? And you're going to eat 1 of those. Now imagine, is that going to be a big slice or a small slice? It's going to be half of your cake. This last one right here, 4 out of the 4. So if you cut your cake into 4 pieces and you eat all 4, you're eating the whole cake. So then, which fraction is the smallest? 3/4. Okay, 3 slices out of 4, 1 slice out of 6, 1 out of 2, or 4/4. Okay, which one represents the smallest piece of cake? 1/6 would actually be the smallest, because if you cut it up into 6 pieces, that means you're cutting them up into smaller pieces and you're only going to be eating 1 of those. So the smallest fraction is going to be 1/6. Now the next one, so I'm done with this one. So the other 3, the next smallest would be 1/2. Because I know this one is going to be more than half the cake. 4 out of 4, that's the whole cake. So half the cake would be the next smallest. Then 3/4 is going to be the next smallest, because if you eat 3 out of 4 slices, you still have some cake left over, right? Whereas if you eat 4 out of 4 slices, then you ate the whole cake. So the next fraction is going to be 3/4. And then the greatest fraction is going to be 4 out of 4. Okay, so this was the lesson on comparing fractions, and thank you for watching educator.com.